Hi guys, Frank here from Frank Likes Fitness. Today is deadlifting day, and so I thought I'd talk about my honey of a homemade deadlifting platform. Now, I built this homemade deadlifting platform just from actually like a horse mat that I got for 40 bucks. There's some blocks of wood. Now those toppers are actually Rogue wood jerk block toppers. Those are the 2.5 inch toppers with the little ridges there that prevent the bar from rolling either off the front and or off the back. So these, I did pay for those, and I had those shipped, and those were about $150 or about 200 bucks. I don't really remember with the shipping. So other than that, the rest of it's been homemade. So let me break it down for you and show you how I put it together. Actually, before we talk about my homemade deadlift platform and my homemade deadlift blocks, let's actually talk about my makeshift deadlift jack. This is a cool deadlift jack alternative. Now, you go on like Rogue's website, Titan, Amazon Fitness, all that. You've got all kinds of deadlift jacks that are out there, and they range from, you know, the price varies. The price really varies, but I think I found the best deadlift jack alternative for maybe the cheapest price. As you can see, that is a car jack. It's just a car jack. And if you look at some of the deadlift jacks that are out there, I'm going to put a picture up to one that's similar that I think Rogue has. This sort of kind of looks like it. So yeah, I thought, this is a $15 alternative. I can go down to the local parts store to get this, and it works wonderfully. Let me show you how it works. So this deadlift bar, or this platform, always has some weight loaded on it. There's always, right now this is 95 pounds worth of weight, and it either has 95 pounds worth of starting weight on it or 135 pounds worth of starting weight on it, depending on who's using it. I might be deadlifting with it, or my lady might be deadlifting with it. As we can see here, with 95 pounds on the bar, she was the last one deadlifting with it. And normally, you gotta wrestle with the weights to get it off. Let me show you what I mean. And then you can see why having a deadlift jack alternative is a better way to go. Okay, so normally before I got this deadlift jack, I would, and this isn't a much weight and it's not that big of a deal, but it's a couple of steps, and when you have a bigger weight on there, you got to spend time with that all on your back and pulling over on your back. That's just not a good idea. So I thought, even though it's not a lot of weight, I can save myself some time. It'll be easier for someone else, if there's the bigger bumper plate on there, to swap this out. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so now instead of having to take this off, lift this up, hold it up and pull and do all that, meanwhile straightening on my back, or anyone's back, right? I think about back health. Instead of doing that now, I put this car jack right here. I can lift this up. Now I can set it up there. I have no more strain on my back. I can take off my clips, slide this off, just like you jack up a car to do a car tire. It's the same kind of deal. Now I can lift this up with better back, with a better back, form and everything like that. Not trying to lift it up and hunch over and take an injury, just trying to lift up a plate. And now we're good. That's a much better, smarter way to do it. All right, let's go ahead and swap out the other side, and then let's talk about this deadlift, homemade deadlift platform that I put together. Okay, so here's my homemade deadlift platform. Here I've kind of got my homemade deadlift blocks torn apart. Let's talk about everything from the bottom. So the very first thing is a horse mat. This horse mat might be, I think it's 4x6. I think it's a 4x6 horse mat, and the horse mat actually weighs 100 pounds, but I only paid $40 for it. So my deadlift platform started off with just the horse mat. but honestly, pulling directly from the floor is a little hard on my low back, so I thought, hey, I'm gonna add a little height to this. And so the first phase, I added these pieces of wood. I added these pieces of wood at the bottom just to give me a little raise. What is that, a ½ an inch or so? It's not much. That was a little improvement, but I could still, when I did deadlifts, I could still feel that in my low back. It worked fine if I did trap bar deadlifts, because I do have a trap bar. But I wanted to do conventional deadlifts. That's what I like. That's where even though they say there's not a whole bunch of difference between trap bar deadlifts and conventional, I think there is. And so I think that the conventional deadlift is better than the trap bar, even though the trap bar is still cool. So that said, I really want to do the conventional deadlift. And so I decided, well, let me make this a little bit taller. We ended up buying these Rogue box toppers, as we can see here. You can see these Rogue box toppers, or these deadlift block toppers. They're 2.25 inches in height. You can see they're really cool. They have these slots in them, so that way they don't move around, so they don't start sliding all over. So what I did first was I bought these toppers, and these toppers just went on top of this wood. They just went on top of the wood. I hadn't built the framing at this point. And that worked pretty good. That worked pretty good. I thought, I'm close. I'm pretty close. This feels better. But then also the toppers were moving around. And so I thought, hey, I've got some wood laying around, which I do. I had some wood laying around. So I just cut that wood up. And I made this framework and put these box toppers on top of it. So really, I've added, I don't know how much height that is right there. Maybe 2.5 inches or so, plus the box topper. So maybe I've got another 5 or 6 inches of height, which turns out to be perfect for me. It makes deadlifting much more enjoyable, and now I don't have any kind of strain on my low back. So I love it. That works great. So there are a lot of fancy bars out there that you can buy for powerlifting and CrossFit and everything else. There's a lot of fancy and expensive bumper plates you can buy and spend a ton of money. At the end of the day, it's not going to make you stronger. It's not going to make you bigger. None of that is. Weight is weight. And so with that said, you can clearly see here that I have the Ethos. I have an Ethos Olympic bar. This Olympic bar is rated at 1,000 pounds. I actually have the Ethos bumper plates. So this is really the Ethos 205-pound Olympic rubber bumper plate set. So this isn't necessarily a review of the Ethos bumper plates or anything like that. All I'm really saying is I just use some basic bumper plates, basic bar, right? This is kind of stuff you buy from Dick's Sporting Goods, which is basically how, I put together this whole gym with stuff from either Dick's Sporting Goods, like this bench. I did a whole big review on this bench. I'll put a link up. Or I bought the stuff on Craigslist, used, or Facebook, used. And so you don't have to spend a lot of money to get the result. And you certainly don't have to have the fancy bar and all that. You gotta have a good bar. I think this bar is good, right? This bar has 1,000-pound low capacity. It's a 7-foot Olympic bar. It's got a heat-treated design. It's got a rust-resistant finish, all right? What else? It's 45 pounds. And it says it meets IWF standards, which might be the International Weightlifting Federation or something like that. So it's a good bar. It's got a good spin in it. It's got good snap. I think it's a fine bar. Now, I think that the bar, as far as like your rotation, it's got good quick rotation that I think you need in a bar that if you're doing deadlifting. I think it has more rotation in it than this fitness gear bar, which is fine because when I'm benching, I don't really want that much rotation in it. So that's cool. That works for me. So when I add weight, we already talked about my homemade deadlift jack, or my makeshift deadlift jack, which is really a car jack that I got for 15 bucks at like AutoZone. But I don't use that jack other than to initially switch the weight out if the 25-pounder is on there or something like that. After that, going forward, I don't actually use any more Ethos bumper plates. I actually use fitness gear plates. Why? Because they're smaller in diameter. This is a 45-pound Ethos bumper plate. And yeah, I do want the bumper plates to hit down. But the metal ones, they can be smaller in diameter, which this 45-pound plate is smaller in diameter than that 45. So that means I don't have to lift the bar up every time. And so that just takes some extra work out of it. That extra work that I save lifting the bar up, I could put into maybe lifting more weight. So yeah, you can see here, here's the Fitness Gear 45-pound plate. There's the Ethos 45-pound bumper plate. And yeah, you see it slides right on there. I don't have to pick the bar back up again. So that's awesome. I really like it. It's a really good setup. Okay, so we talked about my homemade deadlift platform. We talked about the homemade deadlift blocks. We talked about the makeshift deadlift jack. We talked about the Ethos barbell and the bumper plates and all that. Now, let's see how all this stuff works together, and let's do some deadlifting. So let me just put on some of my deadlifting gear. I like to use wrestling shoes for deadlifting, and those are some deadlift, I guess deadlift socks to protect your shins, because you know, you drag the bar up your shins and it really bangs your shins up, so it's nice to have a little protection on your shins. And I just think that weightlifting or wrestling shoes are great. They're flat, they're cheap, they're like 60 bucks or so. Yeah, I've actually got a set on now. These are my old ones, but yeah, they're just really, really comfortable. I just got these, and so yeah, let's break them in and do some deadlifting.
So one.
see. Set 3. Set 4. Set 5. All right, let's do a cool down set. All right, guys, I think that's it. That's my homemade deadlift platform, homemade deadlift blocks, my cheap bar, my bargain weights. Works great, builds the same kind of muscle as expensive stuff. I like it. And my Inzer belt. You gotta have a good belt. Gotta have a good belt. All right, well, you know what? I think we're done here. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna do other videos like this. And make sure you check out my video on my bench press. I like this bench. It's pretty good for an inexpensive bench, but it's got a couple of flaws. All right, so there you go, guys. Yeah, you don't have to be a Brian Shaw or a Hafthor Bjornsson or a Eddie Hall to enjoy deadlifting and get all the great benefits of deadlifting. So with that said, I'm gonna end this video and I'm gonna move on to my other thing. I'm gonna do some band assisted pull-ups. I'll see you on the next video.